Before we begin, if you value serious, well-researched history that actually teaches you something useful, take a second to subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles like this video and leave a comment with your thoughts or experiences. This channel exists for people who care about how things really worked, not surface-level trivia. Now, let's get straight to it. Homes were monitored through constant human presence and layered awareness. Before cameras, home security was built around people, routines and awareness rather than devices. A house was rarely left fully unattended, especially in rural or frontier settings. Someone was almost always home, nearby, or expected back soon. Families organized daily life to ensure visibility and accountability. If a household needed to leave, a neighbor or relative would be informed. This wasn't casual friendliness. It was an informal security agreement. If smoke rose at the wrong time, animals behaved oddly, or doors were disturbed, someone noticed. This human layer was the foundation of all home monitoring. In practical terms, this meant arranging schedules so someone was awake or active during vulnerable hours. Even today, you can apply this by coordinating presence within a household or trusted neighbors instead of relying entirely on electronics. Dogs functioned as living alarm systems, not companions. Dogs were one of the most reliable security tools available. They were not kept for affection first. They were kept for awareness. A dog's job was to hear, smell, and react long before a human could. Barking wasn't considered noise pollution. It was confirmation that something had entered the perimeter. Many households kept dogs outside at night, tied or free roaming within a yard, so any movement triggered a response. What matters here is that dogs created uncertainty for intruders. Even if the dog was small, noise drew attention and removed the element of surprise. A modern parallel would be understanding that deterrence matters as much as detection. A visible, audible warning still discourages intrusion. Architectural design made surveillance passive and constant. Older homes were built to be watched from within. Windows faced roads, paths, and entrances deliberately. Front doors were often visible from the main living area, and bedrooms were positioned to hear movement rather than isolate sleepers. Upper floors provided vantage points over yards and approaches. Porches weren't decorative. They were observation platforms where people sat, worked, and watched. This kind of design allowed passive monitoring throughout the day without conscious effort. Today, you can replicate this by thinking about sight lines, lighting, and how your living spaces interact with entry points rather than hiding behind walls and screens. Sound was treated as critical intelligence. Before modern noise insulation, homes were acoustically alive. Floors creaked, doors rattled, and loose objects acted as early warning systems. People intentionally allowed certain sounds to exist. Gravel paths, wooden gates, and loose fencing made quiet approach difficult. Inside the home, items like hanging tools, metal cookware, or stacked wood near doors created unmistakable noise if disturbed. This is practical even now. Sound-based alerts don't require power, software, or maintenance. Understanding how noise travels around your home can still provide early warning long before a camera notification appears. Community watch existed without formal organization. Villages, towns and neighborhoods functioned as shared surveillance networks. Everyone knew who belonged and who didn't. A stranger walking through an area stood out immediately, not because people were suspicious by default, but because familiarity was the norm. This awareness came from repeated daily interaction, not announcements or apps. If someone unfamiliar approached a home, questions were asked directly. That alone deterred many threats. Today's equivalent isn't social media groups, but real relationships. Knowing your neighbour's routines and having mutual expectations remains one of the strongest forms of security. Lighting was used sparingly but strategically. Artificial light was expensive and limited, so it was placed where it mattered most. Lanterns near entrances, candles in windows at certain hours, or fires kept burning signalled occupancy. Darkness was not always avoided. Instead, contrast was used. A lit window in an otherwise dark area made movement outside easier to detect. From a practical standpoint, this teaches restraint. Strategic lighting that highlights movement without illuminating everything is often more effective than flooding an area with light. Locks, were really reinforced by behaviour, not trusted alone. Sure, locks existed, but honestly, no one believed they were enough. Doors were barred from the inside at night, and furniture was, positioned to block entry points. Windows were shuttered or even crossbarred. But, more importantly, people listened. Any unusual sound prompted an immediate response. There was never any assumption that a lock meant safety. Applying this mindset today, it really means treating security as something active rather than just passive. A lock, it buys time, but awareness that buys safety. Visual signals, interestingly enough, communicated safety or danger. Homes used subtle signals to communicate their status. A specific cloth hung in a window, a gate left open or closed, or even tools positioned in a certain way, all told neighbours whether everything was normal. These signals allowed for monitoring without direct contact and, reduced the need for constant checking. This principle still works. Agreed-upon signals between trusted people can actually convey information faster than messages or devices. Knowledge of local patterns mattered more than technology. Folks understood animal behaviour, weather sounds, and human routines deeply. A horse reacting at night, birds scattering suddenly, or silence where noise was expected, all signalled trouble. This kind of situational awareness came from experience, not instruction manuals. For modern viewers, this really reinforces the value of learning your environment rather than, outsourcing awareness to technology alone. Homes before security cameras were not unprotected. They were watched continuously through people, animals, design, sound, and community. The system worked because it was layered, simple, and active. No single method was trusted on its own. If this kind of grounded, practical history matters to you, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like the video, and share it with someone who takes preparedness and historical knowledge seriously. Leave a comment with your thoughts or examples you've seen, and Well, keep the knowledge moving forward.